5 things that kill early stage startups. Startups are fragile, and early stage startups are unbelievably fragile. There are so many things that can kill your startup that it would make your head spin. However, the 5 things I will review in today's video are the most common problems that CEOs run into and how you can protect yourself from these things happening. Spoiler alert, none of them are money. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Let's start by explaining why money is almost never the reason a startup fails. A lack of money is a symptom of other problems that a startup has. Money is rarely the cause of the problems. The 5 things I will explain today are the causes of startup failure. And we'll go in reverse order today. So let's start with number 5 on our list. Number 5. Your co-founder isn't a true believer in your startup. Over 50% of all co-founder relationships fail. And having a co-founder that doesn't really believe is one of the 2 most likely reasons a co-founder relationship doesn't work out. I've seen this happen to too many of the CEOs I've worked with, and I had this happen to me too. Let me go through the details because I think it's instructive. My first VP of engineering, John, had quit, and I needed to quickly replace him, or so I thought. I interviewed a bunch of people, and 1 month later, I brought on Julius as our new VP of engineering. Julius seemed to mesh well with the rest of my team, and we moved forward. Yet, 2 months later, he called me on a Sunday night to tell me he was quitting because he couldn't handle the pressure. Pressure is what being a startup founder is all about. A founder that can't handle the pressure doesn't truly believe in your mission. The good news is that usually the founder quits within the first 9 months if they don't truly believe in what you're doing. So, what can you do to protect yourself from a co-founder that isn't into your mission and quits? Here are 2 things that you should do. Number 1, have lots of conversations with the prospective co-founder about their thoughts about your company and the vision of your company. You need to move on from the prospective co-founder if there isn't a tight match between you and your co-founder. Second, make sure that your co-founder's equity vests over time. The typical vesting schedule is over 4 years with a 1-year cliff. The 1-year cliff means that no equity vests for the first 12 months of their employment. As I just said, most co-founder relationships fail within the first 9 months. So, you will not have any debt equity on your cap table that's going to make it harder for you to procure an investment. Let's move on to number 4 on the list. Number 4. You don't manage your money properly. It blows me away how many startups don't have any budget or plan for managing their money. Usually, this leads to you not realizing how much money you're spending. So you run out of money quicker than you think because you have no controls in place. The solution here is something you might not want to hear, but it's what you need to do. Create a simple financial plan and budget for your startup. When you budget, it will be like being able to see after being blind. It's your navigation device. It's your North Star. And the good news is this will not take you more than a weekend to develop a simple spreadsheet budgeting all your expenses and incorporating your revenue plan. A pro tip is to review and update your financial plan every month. You'll get more accurate as you go through the process again and again. Let's move on to number 3 on our list. Number 3, you don't manage the details well. Yesterday, I was talking to an early stage startup CEO. Jerry told me a story I had heard many times before. He had hired a developmental team to create his MVP, and the team didn't deliver the product on time. Worse yet, he had already paid them their fees. Now, Jerry was trying to raise his next round of funding, and his company had not made enough progress to raise the next round of funding. Versions of this story are way too common. Here's how you keep this from happening to you. Successful early stage startup CEOs are almost always very detail-oriented. They don't leave things to chance, and they get their hands really dirty with the details. You should too, if you want to succeed. So dig into the details. Ask tons of questions to your team members or contractors. Finally, if you hire out development like Jerry did, then make the payments contingent on the progress that's agreed upon ahead of time. Now let's move on to number 2 on our list. Number 2, you wait too long to raise your funding. Oh, do I hate hearing this one. I have a lot of CEOs asking me for help with fundraising, tell me they will run out of funding in the next month or 2 months, and that's just a killer. If you wait until 2 months before you're going to run out of funding, before you start raising your funding, then your chances of raising your money are really, really small. Here's why. Fundraising typically takes 6 months on average. That's the average. I always advise CEOs to start raising money at least 1 year before they run out of money. That way you have a buffer because there are so many things that are out of your control when you raise money. For example, the economy can falter or the market for your startup can have too many competitors. In my case, it took me over 2 years to raise our initial funding because we were raising money in the worst economic environment since the Great Depression. Let's move on to the most likely reason your startup will fail. Number 1, you and your co-founder don't get along. I've spoken to tons of CEOs that had this problem, and I had this problem too. Think of your founder relationships like a marriage, except you have the added pressure of trying to build a company on little to no money. Is it any wonder so many founder relationships fail? In my case, John and I couldn't agree on how much money we should raise. John wanted to raise less money, and I wanted to raise more money. Problems like this can be found out before your co-founder joins your company just by having open-ended conversations about the company with your prospective co-founder. I talked with John about a lot of things before he joined us. But I didn't talk to him about this fundraising. I wish I had. We recovered from John's departure, but I obviously would have saved myself a lot of trouble and pain if I did talk to him about his thoughts about fundraising before he joined us. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. Here's a summary of what we've learned today. Number 5 on our list. Your co-founder isn't a true believer in your startup. The solution is having lots of conversations with your co-founder before they join you. Number 4, You don't manage your money properly. You should develop a budget for your company and update it monthly. Number 3, you don't manage the details. Almost all successful startup CEOs manage the details, and you should too. Number 2, you wait too long to raise your funding. You should start raising your money at least 6 months before you run out of money. And number 1, you and your co-founder don't get along. Spend lots of time talking with your co-founder about everything you can think of before your co-founder joins your company. Now, what did you learn from today's video? Put your answer in the comments column below today's video. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments column too, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Now, I have one more thing for you today. It's my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video, and it's yours for free. And for more great content, click on the video at the end of today's video. And if you haven't already, then click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.